Ой, Вань, гляди, какие клоуны. Рот хоть завязочки пришей. Ой, до чего, Вань, размалеваны. А голос, как у алкашей. А тот похож, нет, правда, Вань, на Шурина такая ж пьянь. Ну нет, ты глянь, нет, ты глянь, я правда, Вань.
Послушай, Зин, не трогай Шурина. Какой не есть, а он родня. Сама намазана, прокурена. Гляди, дождёсь у меня. А чем болтать взяла бы, Зин? В антракт сгонял в магазин. Что, не пойдешь? Ну, я один, подвинься, Зин.
Ой, Вань, гляди, какие карлики. В джерси одеты, не вшивьет. На нашей 5-й швейной фабрике такое вряд ли кто пошьет. А у тебя, ей-богу, Вань, ну все друзья, такая рвань, и пьют всегда в такую рань, такую дрянь.
Мои друзья хоть не в Болонии, зато не тащут из семьи, а гадость пьют из экономии, хоть поутру, да на своим. А у тебя подруги, Зин, все вяжут шапочки для зим от их скучных образин. Дуреешь, Зин.
Ой, Вань, гляди-ка, попугайчики. Нет, я ей-богу закричу. А это кто в короткой маечке? Я, Вань, такую же хочу. В конце квартала, правда, Вань, ты мне такую же сваргань. Ну что, отстань, опять отстань. Обидно, Вань.
Уж ты бы лучше помолчала бы. Накрылась премия в квартал. Кто мне писал на службу жалобы? Не ты, да я же их читал. К тому же эту майку, Зин, тебе на 5 позор один. Тебе шитья пойдет аршин. Где деньги, Зин?
Ой, Вань, умру от акробатика. Смотри, как вертится нахал. Завцех наш товарищ Сатюков недавно в клубе так скакал. А ты придешь домой, Иван.
A little Vladimir Vysotsky here on 90.7 FM, KELX Berkeley, to get us into, how are we going to fit all of this into the remaining time that we have here?
We'll try.
We'll try. We have with us in the studio today Evgeny Avilov and Zarina Zabrisky, who is from Arts Resistance, and Evgeny Avilov is currently in the country for seeking asylum, I guess is what we should say.
Yes.
I think we should probably just lay out the story and what Evgeny's story is and what the current situation is.
Okay. Is it okay if I tell the story, or you wanna go in?
I think you tell me my story.
Yeah.
Have
So.
too many words.
Yeah,
about this.
Yevgeny speaks brilliant English, but he just got here 2 or 3 days ago, so we are still working on to getting him more fluent. So radio probably is not the first thing that someone does as soon as they enter the country without ever
2 days,
having left
ping, go.
Russia. Yeah, I think he's doing like really, really well, but I will help him to speak because I've been here for a while. But I still keep my accent as a little souvenir. So my name is Zarina Zabrisky. I'm a San Francisco writer and lately a reluctant activist. I don't like activism, but I had to be because of everything that's going on back in Russia and Ukraine. I was moved to do things that we are doing with Arts Resistance. And one of the things that luckily I ran into was an art exhibit that was destroyed, not completely destroyed, but someone destroyed with the artist detained and beaten up by so-called Center E, which is a center of confronting the extremism run by the Russian government on May 8th. And so I got in contact with the art gallery owner and the member of the group called Blue Rider. And that's how I got involved with most people who were the members of Blue Rider, but there was only one person that I made friends with because we just sparked the conversation right away. Since Evgeny happened to ask me a weird question. The first one was, what is your name? And the second one was, are you a decent person? And it just like came straight from Dostoevsky, and I was like, yeah. But then when I saw what kind of situation one has to be in if you ask a stranger a question like this on Facebook, and it just struck me, and that's how it all started. And then I started to look into what Evgeny was doing, and he was doing some outstanding things, very brave, in I think by any standard. One of the actions that he and his other friend, a member of Blue Rider, got almost famous or infamous for was the action called exorcism at the mausoleum. I recommend to look on YouTube. It's something worth watching. So there's these two tall dudes who come out with canisters of holy water and spray mausoleum where Lenin's mummy, sort of like Egyptian thing, if you don't happen to know, rests for the last, 80
Almost 100,
years?
yeah, 80, 90
yeah.
years.
For reasons unbeknownst to me or anybody else. It's always, I wrote about it in my story, in my novel. It's perplexing. How would a civilized or so-called civilized country keep the remains of the party leader who passed in 1924 bound in the main place of the country? It's just, it's a miracle. So when I saw that these guys came and they were throwing this water on Muslim and screaming, get up and go. And I was just cracking up. I thought it was hilarious. And I knew I wanted to know more about him and he does. And then, so basically from there, I learned more about the actions, which are very interesting. They were confronting the war in Ukraine with some drastic action. They would distribute fake blood. It was not known to be fake, like real blood in the streets of Moscow, suggesting people drink it because that's what they're doing in Ukraine anyway. Again, people would go to prison for that, which they did. They went to prison cells for 10 days after their Lenin action Muslim exorcism. And so one by one, I looked into his paintings that he was painting in his own blood, which is like,
Blood and watercolor.
Yeah, blood and watercolor. And I was fascinated. And so we did an interview with Evgeny, and I started to speak to another friend of his, who's also a fascinating person. It's just like material for a novel, which I'm hopefully writing right now. But as I was writing this novel, I realized that he can't stay there. He's already been to prison. He was detained. Things are only getting worse. And eventually he was attacked and hit on his head by a stranger, somebody unidentified, obviously waiting for him at night by his door. Obviously, there's something was well informed that he just got back from his trip to Belarus. So these people have access to the files. And it's quite obvious what's going on because unfortunately in Moscow these days, it's a well-known fact that the activists or members of opposition or anybody prominent in any way and not complying with the government is going to be attacked or even killed. And so we decided that he's not just coming for his exhibition opening in San Francisco. He's going to stay. So
we should mention the specifics of the exhibition. There is an exhibition up right now over at the Borderlands Cafe in the Mission on Valencia and 21st.
Oh, no, it's between 19th and 20th.
19th and 20th, yes.
3 blocks from BART, close.
I always just walk to Borderlands because I know where it is. I've actually stopped thinking about where it is in my head.
Yeah, like Valencia.
Yeah. And it's up for, I believe, another week is the...
until the 30th of
until
September.
the 30th, okay.
Yeah.
And one of the things that struck me about this story is that it seems that the Russian government is completely forgetting the long tradition of arts activism and art resistance that's kind of embedded in Eastern Europe. It seems, all of my favorite authors and all of my playwrights and musicians, there seems to be a strong dissident tone in a lot of the work that they do. And even under severe repressions and restrictions, they still manage to, Daniel Harms and Bulgakov, and even most recently you have Pussy Riot, which was in the news a couple of years ago. And so there's this streak of artistic resistance that I think you're part of. You're part of a long tradition.
Yeah. Hopefully, we pride ourselves. I don't know if we pride ourselves on that, right? You told me, I'm talking to Evgeny now, we're sitting next to each other. You told me that you didn't choose to be either an activist or an artist, right? You were kind of almost forced into that. Do you want to say something about it? And I'll translate.
То, что я считаю, что плохо быть профессиональным революционером.
I think there's nothing good about being a professional revolutionary. I agree.
Просто, ну, как
It
ты говорила
just,
про
as
осознанную
we were
необходимость.
saying, we were talking a lot about the inner necessity, which is Kandinsky's term.
Это именно вопрос того, чтобы состояться как личность.
It's a question of whether you are going to happen as a person, as a personality.
Пожалуй, всё.
That's about it. Yeah, I mean, I can develop a little bit on it from my point of view. Yeah, there are some conditions, because I'm from there too. I left much earlier, but there was no space for us, no air to develop as personality in any sense or way or shape or form. Like my generation was taking drugs and self-medicating ourselves out of the stagnation and complete lack of air, and some people died and some made it out. Practically all of my friends are either dead or are somewhere in the West. But Evgeny's generation, he's young, he's 25, they are now confronted with the same kind of prison-like situation, and they are being more proactive about it, having grown up in somewhat more free situation. In the 90s, it was kind of loose. So they find resources in themselves not to go completely inwards like we did, like psychedelics or heroin or whatever, but to go take it outwards as well, you know, with the violent force that is very impressive, could be self-destructive, like in the Pussy Riot case, or Evgeny's case, or there are plenty of other artists who are doing that by, you know, nailing their scrotums to the cobblestones of the Red Square. It's self-destructive, but it's a scream. Evgeny told me in one of our many conversations that when you're doing something that's body negative art, you are focusing your audience attention on your condition. You're saying, like, look, it's not just maybe freaky thing to do. Maybe this person is just really feeling bad. And that really struck me. So.
Well, also, I think, I mean, one of the things that's mentioned on the Arts Resistance page is, you know, why arts activism, and that I think there's, and this is kind of one of the answers right here. It's something which makes a statement and is somehow more powerful than just marching in a street. It focuses things in a more simultaneously abstract and concrete way.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, the way the arts resistance was formed is at some point the protests in the street were very obviously obsolete. They didn't bring anything, and everyone there felt it. And so, because I am an artist, I'm a writer, I thought that one way we can confront, and not just injustice in Russia, but injustice in the world, and more or less mainstream machine that pushes us into some frame of mind where we don't want to be, is to working from inside. The only way I know of confronting it is through the art. That's the only inner freedom that is available to me. So obviously, you know, I co-founded the Arts Resistance. So it's resistance in a broader sense. It's not just resisting Putin or resisting regime, I don't know, in Belarus. It's resisting the outside structure that is trying to push us into any kind of slavery.
We are unfortunately starting to run out of time. This goes very quickly. But we did want to talk a little bit about what, if people are interested in the case or in arts resistance in general, what they can do.
That would be really, really helpful. Evgeny just got into the country about a week ago. So he's staying with the arts resistance members, currently with me. We are looking for any kind of help we can get. We're starting the Indiegogo campaign for his legal fees. Unless we can find a pro bono lawyer. If anybody knows or is an immigration lawyer who can help us with the political asylum case, please go to the www.artsresistance.com and send us an email. Also look up for our campaign, which also will be on the website. And any kind of help at this point, or even just meeting with Evgeny and chatting with him, his English is actually quite fluent. He's just not comfortable on the radio. It would be interesting to you, I promise, I guarantee, enriching, and it would be good for him to meet new people who think in a similar way, and just enrich everybody's world.
And just to end on the idea of the exhibition, which is currently up at the Borderlands Cafe, what are the pieces that are in this particular exhibition?
Do you want to very briefly answer that? Что за работы на выставке? Скажи про, скажем, мавзолея и про украинскую кровь.
В основном реализованы
Mainly,
работы, как сказать, вначале было 4 акварели.
there were 4 watercolors in the beginning.
Они были посвящены акциям,
They were
которые так или
dedicated to
иначе
the actions that were in one way or another
у синего всадника, связанных с кровью.
maintained by the Blue Rider.
Были
And
перформансы, связанные с кровью.
these actions were kind of set together around blood. They involved using blood.
Я подумал, что это будет забавно
So that's
нарисовать
when
это
Evgeny saw
кровью.
that it would be kind of fun to depict it with blood. And
Вот, как-то так. Тем более, что когда идет война, говорят, что льется
so,
кровь.
especially when the war is happening, and it's happening now in Ukraine, and the blood is being spilled.
Ну, я тоже немножко своей пролил.
So he thought
Solidarность.
it was valid to spill a little bit of my own blood in solidarity.
Ну и еще говорят,
And
что
also they say that
вещи, скажем, как военный
some
устав,
things like the military rules
написаны кровью, потому что за
are
них,
written with blood because
скажем так, из-за несоблюдения этих правил люди
because
обычно
if people
умирают.
don't follow these rules, they pay with their own life and blood.
И
Yeah.
фактически это такое собрание общих ошибок.
So it's a collection of collective mistakes in a way.
И вот, я решил,
So-
что картина написана кровью, правила написанные кровью.
So I decided
вещи
paintings painted in blood or rules written in blood and the spill in blood, that's all comes into
Наверное, важно
the
сказать, что писать это одно слово у нас. It's the
писать.
same word. Write and painting. Написать, писать.
Oh, yeah, because in Russian, to write or to paint is the same word. Писать, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That
So-
part I did not know.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you speak Russian, Greg?
Нет.
Well, then we're not surprised.
I took Russian for around 2 weeks when I first came to college, and then I realized that it was at 8 in the morning, and I was not going to learn a single thing at 8 in the morning. So I got partially through the Cyrillic alphabet, and that's kind of unfortunately where it stopped.
Oh, you know something.
A little tiny
yeah,
bit.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, we are unfortunately out of time. We have been talking with Zarina Zabrisky and Evgeny Avilov. His paintings are currently up over at the Borderlands Cafe in the Mission on Valencia between 19th and 20th. You can take a look for Borderlands Cafe or Borderlands Books, which is the bookstore right next door, which I also encourage you to go and take a look at. You can go to artsresistance.com to find out more information about the organization in general. I would like to thank the both of you very, very much for coming
Thank
and
you,
talking with us
Greg.
today.
It was fun.
Thank you.
This has been the program Arts and Review here on 90.7 FM, KALX Berkeley. I am Gregory Sharpen. We will be back next week. Everybody out there, take care. Have a good rest of your Thursday.
Ворона выхаживает по краешку, совсем не боясь упасть. Спи, моя милая, баю-баюшки, спи, моя милая страсть. Как нынче хочется крыльев перышек, только бы вверх, вверх. Птица любезная, за корюшку возьми нас с собой на ветви. Ла-ра, ла-ра-ра. Птица небесная, за корюшку Thank